No homo.
No homo.
Because it is
Just the two of us.
Hey, we can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Hey, just the two of us. Hey, cheers.
Salud.
I'm gonna let it drop. Oh, he rises. Oh, okay. This ain't 2020 type shit. This is listen to the music for a second.
Yeah.
I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in my mind when I think of you sometime, and I want to spend some time with you.
Hey,
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
hey.
Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us.
My brother, it is just the two of us here in Houston, Texas. Well, Stafford. It's part of Houston.
Part of Houston.
Part of Houston. No one's going to say, I'm from Stafford. No, you're going to say Houston. You're going to say Houston. But technically, we're here in Houston. I wanted to give you a quick introduction. This has been a podcast 2 years in the making. We actually recorded back in Dallas, Dallas, and it wasn't quite ready.
Yeah.
No one's ever quite ready, but now is the time to do it. Also, there were some things in there that couldn't be put out to the public. However, it's archived. It's archived. We both can see it. If you're ever lucky enough to send me a message and you want to listen, I'll send it to you, but you have to go to.
Well, who knows? Maybe in the future we might just let it out.
We might let it out. But I wanted to give you a quick introduction. Elias, a man of many hats. You have a hat on right now, Beltway Connections. Now, what is Beltway Connections?
Beltway Connections is a group of people that get together to do amazing things. We look out for each other. We look out for each other's well-being and our families, our kids, because other than that, there really much isn't anything else that we could do. We do need people to do things, always. But the certain people that you put around yourself, that you surround yourself with, that you can actually do things with, that's what you're looking for.
So that's one hat. There's several different hats that you've worn in the past. You are an entrepreneur. You are a business development professional. You are a vet. And that's just to name a few. You are one of my closest friends. So I'm glad we finally got this done. It may have not been the perfect time, but the timing is never perfect, so we have to do it regardless. So I'm glad you're here. If there's anything that I skipped, let me know. But I think I got the bulk of it. I think we really wanted to set this off with, like I said, there's never a right time. So it kind of feels like the wrong time and the right time at the same time. You had mentioned that you might be going through this phase, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because a lot of people are going through this phase currently. Since 2020, it feels like you're currently going through this negative time in your life, per se. Could you kind of not exactly give detail, but kind of give the feeling of what's going on?
All right, so it's not a negative time. It's more of a negative attitude towards things, perspective, right? These things happen to us every once in a while. Sometimes we feel so good, up. We got everything going on where we feel like we know what we're doing. And I'll just use myself for that example, okay? So, sometimes I feel like everything's going great. There's nothing that could go wrong, and I get comfortable in that. And it's kind of like something where it's like, all right, I did this. All right, let's chill for a little bit. And I feel that moment could bring you to where you're vulnerable to other things, like negative things to start coming into your mind. Because, when for example, I'll just grab like something very small that I can use as an example, okay? I used to run a lot. I used to work out a lot. And I stopped, like, completely. And it's gotten to a point where I'm like, man, like, I used to do this. Why can't I go back to how I used to do things? And it has a lot to do with admitting that there is a problem there and you should try to figure it out so you can continue. And what we were talking about earlier, that, like something negative happened, right? I start thinking about things and I'm like, man, now I'm negative and now my face is wearing that mask of, being upset, that disgruntled face where you just sucked on a lime and you're like, and it's like, man, that can take a toll on you. Just moving forward, just thinking about moving forward, it can hit you to the point where it's like, all right, man, you're going to sit here and sulk in this or you're going to do something about it. And I really liked how earlier you kind of put that in front of me, like, hey, man, that face, yeah, it doesn't look good. Yeah, and 100%. My attitude was whack. But, sometimes you need to hear things like that in order for you to be like, oh, you're right. I am in control of how I feel. I can make myself happy if I want to, and if you don't think about it, you probably won't. So I chose to say, you know what? You're right. There's no reason to be negative about anything, ever. Because it's true. Things happen. Things that you can't control happen. But what you can't control is what you can do. And the attitude, that's the first thing that you can start with. Admitting that, hey, you're probably being negative right now. That's number one. And then number two, just saying, all right, which direction should I take now? Because once you clear that attitude up, you can start thinking better. You can start doing things. And like Jocko Willink said on that one podcast about being in the forest and not knowing which way to go and you just stay stuck and not walk, that's not going to help you. Take some step forward in some direction. Go that way. If that's not the place that you're supposed to be going to, hey, change direction, but keep walking.
Would you say that a fair assessment of people going through this would be in the range of 95%?
Man, to be honest with you, the only way I could say this is like this, man, because I'm only a minuscule of that percentage. So I can only say about myself. Mm-hmm. Now that other people are going through this, hey, if this resonates with you, that you've gone through this before, the negative moments where you just feel like nothing can help you and you're helpless and you're like, man, nothing good is going to come out of this, nothing's going to help me, switch it.
Would you say, in this case, easier said than done?
Yes, it is.
What's some of, and again, you're speaking only for yourself in this. We're not even talking about anyone 100%. Else. What kind of, and you kind of talked about at the beginning, what kind of things have you done in the past? Because no one does a 360 and keeps that 360 in that same direction. You come back and ironically you do another 360 and you're back where you started. What kind of things in the past have you done and thought to get back get on the right track?
Okay, so yeah, my life has been crazy, all right, just like everybody else's. Okay, my experience starts where when I was in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted. Hey, I was reaching the end of high school. I don't know what I want to be. It's a fear, right, that you start to develop. Well, that I started to develop, and I was like, man. So the only thing that I could do was do a lot of things, get into things that I have no idea about, and try to figure it out. It's brought me to where I'm at today. Doing things that I'm scared of, man, just do it. See what comes out of it. And in the past, overcoming those little fears is something that I've done over and over again to figure that out. And I realized that there's no comfort. There's no, yes, I did it and just not doing nothing. I realized that when you do the things that you're scared of, the things that are hard, that's when you receive something out of it versus nothing. And I've come to understand that one specific part of that, you know, how like in the past, how I've done something to where, oh man, this is hard, or even thought about something, I'm about to do this, but no, I don't want to. It's hard. No, just do it. Just do it. Doing that, what scares you and what's hard makes you stronger. It makes you pull forward. It helps you persevere. And then once you get over that, you're like, oh, damn, I got something out of it. You feel that sense of achievement. Like I'll tell you one that I do remember. When I was in basic training, this was in 2007. I was in basic training in, it was in St. Joseph, no, not St. Joseph, in Missouri. It was Fort Lost in the Woods is what everybody calls it. Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. Okay. I remember going through the whole thing, right? And it was tough. It was tough. You know, and then the last 2 weeks, we have something called the rite to passage. It's like where you become a soldier finally. After all that you just went through, now this is it. And it was this feeling, man, because we just went through 2 weeks of being out on the field, no showers, no toilets. Baby wipes are our best friends. Sleeping in cots in tents for 2 weeks, playing war games, setting ourselves up like we're in deployment. It's for 2 weeks. Let
me ask you a quick question. What kind of common amenities that you have in your daily life did you miss the most during those 2 weeks? Which a lot of people have heard of Hell Week. Those are hell weeks. So what are some of the things that you went through that a lot of people take for granted now?
A lazy boy chair.
A nice little recliner, huh?
Yeah, but just any kind of furniture, bro, really. Mm-hmm. Honestly, like, you don't have that being in the middle. You know, when you're in your basic training, I would say, or any kind of training in military, you really forget what comfort is. Like, I'm talking about you're up all day doing all these things, and then you go to sleep. And it's like you never sit down. If you do sit down, you're probably sitting up against a tree trying to catch like 2-3 minutes of sleep.
That's not something I thought you would say. I would say something like I don't know, a shower.
No, I mean, in basic training, you still have showers, bro. Like,
a warm shower.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
No, that's just what I was expecting. I'm sure you went through it, but I just didn't expect the lazy boy chair.
Well, that's the thing. That is funny because that you asked me that question, because that's one thing that I noticed. Like, the only way you would get any kind of comfort is going to church on Sunday. But then, even then, you can't relax. If you start falling asleep, then drill sergeant's gonna get on you. You know, and everybody's uptight, hands on your lap, pumped up like this. Hey, you got your chin up. You can tell when somebody's falling asleep, and they get on you.
So why exactly were people falling asleep?
Oh man, many things. You know, the people that went to church, you know, the soldiers that went to church, they didn't go to church. Okay, let me rephrase that. The people that I knew, they didn't go to church, you know, for the purpose of going to church. Mm-hmm. We only had two choices on Sundays: either barracks beautification or you go to church, right?
I think I'm going to church. Hallelujah.
Well, look, I put myself in the position of going to both, right? Like, hey, sometimes you do have to do this, right? And I got to a point.
Clean up the barracks?
Clean up the barracks.
Okay, I got you.
So, like, you know, those are the times that I realized that, yeah, once you get stuff done, like, you got everything done. Yes, everything's done, right? You have a little bit of time to do something. And what I chose to do was go under my bunk, under my bed, and I'll tie my sleeves together and act like I'm doing something under my bed, and I'll pass out. That was my little piece of comfort that I found.
If the military did nothing else but make you resourceful, then I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so.
So you found a way to catch some Z's.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted. What you said you were going through like the process of what you do during those 2 weeks.
So yeah, those 2 weeks, that's like the final 2 weeks of basic training. You make it through this. You've made it this far, and now the next thing is to graduate and go on to your MOS training.
Did it feel like kind of like a rite of passage? And
That's
like
yeah. So look, I'll tell you what, how it was, right? So for these 2 weeks, we and this just, if I missed anything, my bad. It's been a while. I did get out a long time ago, more than 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I still remember most of it, but there's of course details that I'm just not gonna remember. So I do remember this particular night. It was the end of everything. Okay, it was the last hike that we had, I believe, or movement with the team. It was, I think it was at like the last week of the 2 weeks of training. So it was about, I think it was 15 or 20 miles total that we did. I can't remember. But for the whole time that we were out there, we didn't have no showers, right? So you're kind of messed up all over the place. I had rashes, like that I couldn't tend to. Of course, I had a first aid kit. I'll put in some Benadryl and, just try to fix myself up, and keep myself clean with baby wipes and stuff like that. But that's not enough, So I remember the last thing that we did, we went through a live fire exercise where we had to go under barbed wire and there was mud and water. And I was a squad leader and I had to, get everybody over to the other side from the start line to the finish line. I had to get everybody there, and I was in the back. And in front of me, I had 2 female soldiers, and in front of them, I have three other battle buddies. They're males, and we're trying to carry the team. We're trying to get everybody across, and it was so, how can I say this? The adrenaline was high. Okay. I had to get to a point where I had to get in front of both of these females to pull them so we can get over there. And I like it's chaos. You got rounds flying over you, all this, gun shots all over the place, like, machine guns, all that going on. You're in mud, it's water, there's a little flood going on over here. You got a little bit of some of that swamp ass, if you may, and it was difficult. Well, once we got through it, man, we got through the end. We had a little bit of, I think it was like a 2-mile hike left after that. After that 2 miles, man, we made it to the end. And I was already, oh my God, where are we going? Like, what? It's dark. We're just marching. It's at this point, we're like, oh man, like, what's next? It's late. Where are we going? What are we doing? Man, fireworks. Out of nowhere, fireworks. And they had this song on. I don't remember the name of the song. It's a country song. I believe it's a country song. And it goes something like, and I'm proud to be an American. And then just, that moment, just hear that, man. And we're walking through this and we're going through all this hard stuff these past couple of weeks. I thought I was the only one that had the same emotion. I felt this sense of pride, this sense of, man, we made it, this sense of achievement that is just like, man, it brought tears to my eyes. This is it. Yeah. And they can't take that away.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me.
So you felt the spirit of USA, not from a chant, but from a spirit within you to carry forward when you couldn't go any further, right?
Yes, sir.
So explain the rest of the trek.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I was tears, not over here aggressively crying or anything like that, but it was like, man, we did it. I turned around, looked at my team. We did it. We all hugged each other. We stand there in formation. They tell us, you guys are now soldiers. They saw us. They saw us go through the whole process. We are, at the time, I can't remember what our unit was. I think it was Alpha 210, I believe. And we were the Renegades. We're first platoon, leading the way. That's all day, bro. That's what we were doing. And that moment, like I guess all of that just crashes and it hits you all at once. And yeah, man, I remember this very vividly because it was the first time I felt something like that. You know, it was this emotion that I just, you know, it was very overwhelming, you know, and it's like, man, we just did something. The first day on that bus, getting to basic training, oh man, that was crazy. I was thinking to myself, like, man, what the hell did I just do? I'm like, man, what the hell did I just do to myself, man? They cut my hair, you know, they spun me around. I had no more hair, you know, like, all right, let's get it, you know, start, you know, like that whole process, bro, it was crazy. Cause, you know, now that I remember all this stuff, it's like, man, like we went through some shit. And that's not even to mention, you know, getting to my first duty station, which, by the way, I was stationed in Alaska. I was 539 Transportation Corps Hood, 88 Mike. You know, that's what we rep all day. You know, and coming out of basic training, that's how it was. You know, that's what we did. You know, and so I was in Alaska. You know, and so that's a whole other thing. You know, you get to your duty station, that's a whole other life that you go through. It's like you learn to now work with all these new people that you don't know. Some of your buddies from back in basic training did go with me. You know, like in this case, right, in this story, I had probably about like 8 of my boys from basic training that we all went to this first duty station together in Alaska. And it was a hell of a time. We all deployed together. We went to Iraq, and that's a whole other story.
I think there's two sides to what you just said, a positive and a negative, in a way.
Yeah.
What you went through was a fabrication process for something super necessary to defend a nation. You have to take these young minds and mold them into something that's super necessary to defend what we believe in. And what you went through was camaraderie. You went through struggle, and you came out the other side a completely different person. You said this was the first time in your life that you felt something like this, something as trivial as, I'm proud to be an American. It's super cheesy now that you say it out loud, but I'm sure at that time,
at that moment, it was not.
At that time, yeah. I could imagine it. I could imagine it. I mean, grown men, the best of the best that we have, are brought to tears when they hear that at the Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, every single time there's something to that. So what you went through was something super necessary for the first line of defense in the spirit and ideology that is the USA. But secondary, you know, things might not turn out the way you wanted to in your life once you get to the actual action of defending that and what it takes to do that. My question was, or I had a question, it was positive and negative in that way, that you build yourself, but at the end, what you're doing is it's a fabrication process. They're stripping you of your identity.
They're breaking you down.
They're breaking you down.
And they're building you back up how they want you to be.
Exactly.
How they need you to be.
Exactly. So again, I said negative on your perspective, but I also had a question regarding that. Based on the current climate that we live in now, I would say that a lot of people are soft nowadays, and that's not their own doing either. That is in the current time of technology, social media, instant gratification. My question is, do you think it should be mandatory to have this type of ritual or rite of passage for at least the men of this country and the women of this country?
Look, I might get a lot of feedback on this, but I do believe it is necessary for every man to go through something like this at some point of their life. Is necessary. And to the point that you were bringing up, you know, that we are in different times, I believe that's so. And the reason why is because, yeah, of course, you can see it, okay? And I think I started to see it in the Army, you know, before I got out. You know, basic training, right? Let's just grab basic training, for example. We couldn't do anything. I'm talking about not even, look, if you're going to get a wash rag to wash yourself, that's it. You can't get a loofah. You know, when you are want or need like a cough drop, it's not gonna be a flavored one. It's gonna be mint, and that is it. You don't get nothing else, nothing special. When my last week of basic training, I started seeing the new soldiers coming in, and they were getting Sundays off. You remember the whole story I told you about? What do we do Sundays?
Tell me again, just for the sake of the
Either
listener.
beautification, barracks beautification, or church. These guys can leave in uniform, still be in uniform. They can leave their post, their barracks, and they can do whatever they want and come back at a certain time. Sunday. I was like, what the hell? That was happening when I was leaving. I didn't go through that. Like I didn't get that time. Sundays became that. I don't know if it's still like that now. Maybe things changed. I don't know. But that's how it was when I was getting out, bro. And I was like, what the hell? So I believe that society goes through shifts. And I think it's just like history. It just repeats itself.
Why would you say that you would get some sort of pushback for that opinion?
Because I think a lot of people today don't feel the same way.
How do you think they feel?
Well, the other side of no, is not necessary. We could do whatever we want. And this is why I was trying to bring up that point, because of where we are in times. And I believe that this is how it is. You ever heard that saying about hard men? Or no. Yeah.
You could start anywhere. It's going to be a cycle.
You really can't start anywhere.
Soft men create hard times. Hard times
create hard men.
Hard men. And hard men
create soft times.
Create good times.
It's easy times.
Easy times.
Easy. Because everything's built.
Right. So where in that pendulum are we right now?
I mean, let's take our generation now. What is the highest you could say profession that the kids are looking forward to coming out of high school now? Some of them don't even finish high school because of this.
It's gonna have to do anything with social media, whether you're an influencer, a content creator, and I'm doing this myself, but it's gonna be something that they aspire to. This is something that came into my adult life.
All right, so look, let me just show you something real quick. You remember when we were kids? And in the summer, all we want to do is just, get up late as hell on Saturday and watch cartoons and play video games all day. Yeah, there's people doing that as adults now, and they're getting paid for it, just because they just record themselves. So of course we have this stuff. I think this is necessary because I feel like this was a business disruptor when it comes down to media, podcasts. Talk shows, they have one person that they're being paid by all these companies to talk about certain things. Podcasts, I don't think that they're like that. It's independent. You talk about whatever you want to talk about. So what you're doing is great, is what I'm saying. Compared to somebody that's recording themselves playing video games, and that's something that they want to do, they can do this before they finish high school and they can become fucking millionaires. They become millionaires doing this, recording themselves, playing video games. So out of 10 people that see that somebody can make money doing that, wouldn't you say that it makes more sense that all of those 10 people, maybe one of them is going to chase that type of career field?
More than likely, yeah.
Easy money. I like to play video games. Be an influencer. It's just crazy, bro. Because now, that's where we are. That's the times that we're in. The hard men created the easy times, and we're living in the easy times. Think about it like this: where are we today in the world? Right? Shit's fucked up. Cool, got it. Can you imagine 70 years from now when that generation is taking care of us? From today, we're older, right? And everything that we've done, hopefully, the new generation picks on and they take it on, carry it on, and everybody's got to carry the boat.
You know what's funny though? One of the countries in the world that is kind of implementing what you've suggested is South Korea. South Korea has mandatory 2 years of service. No one escapes from it, not even K-pop groups. So I forgot the one of the more popular ones, but they all had to do it. These little pretty boys They had to go through
They had to
everything.
go through it.
They have to. It's
I think
mandatory.
there's a couple countries like that.
There
I think
are.
Israel was one too.
Yes, that's also another one. But just as an example,
Yeah.
and the reason I picked that one is because that they're doing that. They're implementing that because we have all these theories of what we should do and we'll get this result. Sometimes it doesn't work. And the reason I say that is they have to go through this process because of what you said. It builds you. And it's also necessary for the country if need be. But where are they right now? They're also in a very unique space where they're one of the most technologically advanced nations in the world. I mean, a giant ally of the United States, a major military post, Seoul. They all go there to train, right? You go to these cities, Seoul being one of them again, where it's so technologically advanced that it's the epitome of human civilization, essentially, right? And their culture too is very respectful one. One of the most respected Asian cultures, right? But where are they now? They are on the brink of collapse due to population collapse. So is that the solution? Did these hard men that are required to create these easy times? Or did they just exacerbate that? Did they become so hard that they made it damn near pudding?
I mean, look, you still got a population of people like, well, in our generation, that they still pride themselves on trades. Plumbers, AC technicians, HVAC technicians, electricians, carpenters, everything to do with construction, right? There's still people out there like that, but the population of the next generation is coming in.
You're talking about the U.S. population.
Yes, the U.S.
Okay.
The U.S.
You're talking about hard men in the U.S.
Correct.
You're talking about the trade jobs. You're talking about plumbers. You're talking about construction.
Correct.
Shit where you're not in an office eating cereal and playing video games. Okay, that's what you're referring to. Okay.
So, because you brought up the point of the other countries, right? Where are they now is what you're saying, right? Compared to how they used to be. It's because of that same thing, man. Like, there was a lot of development that needed to happen, right? So it happened. Now it's like, all right, everything is done, right? The population is where we are, and from what I understand on market analysis and, just in my experience, in my background, in my career, what I'm doing, I know certain types of markets and, appliances, furniture, bedding. Like, I see the local markets, how they're doing, right? So, like, when it comes down to it, man, there's something that's happening right now where the new generation is going to be the one taking on responsibility, right? And so there's these new companies that are coming out, different mindset. The older generation is almost out of the way, which is the generation that's disappearing right now. Is it the baby boomers?
Yeah, the boomers.
Right? Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a large generational wealth transfer. Mm-hmm. There's going to be all these people that are going to die, and the money, where's the money going to go? So it's like, I've heard families like, I think, man, I don't want to get this wrong. There's families out there that they create something called the family office. And I think Vanguard was one of them. Vanguard, how they say, in movies or in certain situations, you hear people say, oh, I'm in the family business.
Let me just give the definition before, just if anyone's still listening, I hope you are. A family office is a specialized wealth management firm that provides it might not be what you're saying, but that if it's not, stop me. Provides personalized and comprehensive services to ultra high net worth family. These services can include investment management, financial planning, tax planning, estate planning, and even concierge services. They can be structured as a single family office, a multi-family office, or an outsourced family office. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's always somebody that starts the idea, right? And then the rest of the family joins in and they they develop that thought process. And the Vanguards, I believe, and I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but there's families out there that they've done this already. So it's like, you don't just come in here just because you got the last name and you're in the business. No, like, you have to go to school, you have to take on all the resources that they have so you can get to that point.
So you're saying Vanguard as in, obviously there's the Vanguard Group, which is an investment management company, but you're talking about what exactly? Simplify it, because I just said a huge bunch of fucking nothing to a lot of people. What exactly are you saying? Simplify it.
Well, I mean, it gives some kind of direction to your family.
What?
A family office.
Okay.
We're talking about a family office. That's how I got to this point where I started talking about this family.
Okay.
All right, so let's just take the family aside.
Okay.
The idea is to have a family office for your family.
Okay.
You know, and then everybody becomes resourceful. There's purpose. Everybody's got some kind of title.
Let me tell me if I'm correct in my understanding of what you mean by that. You mean, for example, if someone today isn't of old money or generational wealth, and they seem to be the first generation of trying to build something, they're not going to see the fruits of their labor. Their next generation will, and they'll have some sort of a foundation. Unfortunately, if you're that, you're not going to see it. You're going to have to put in the hard work to provide. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Correct. I'm sorry, man. I don't know if I didn't explain that.
It's okay. It's semantics.
Semantics. All right. Well, yeah. So that's basically what I was talking about.
Okay. So that you consider a family office, right? Having that structure already in place so that each of the people in your family, extended family, even friends that could become family,
correct,
have a role in what has already been established to continue forward. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Okay. Correct. And, you know, like we've always talked about this, you know, what are we trying to do in life? Move forward.
Right.
Trying to figure it out.
Right.
You know, so like that's what this all is. You know, like if there's no plan, what are you trying to figure out? Nothing. There's no plan. So that's why I meant, like, you know, when it comes to a family office, it gives that structure to your family. You know, like one thing that I've learned, well, not that I've learned, over the years, you know, just going through life and all that, I didn't know what I was doing on earth. I didn't know if it was important for me to learn something or see things. Like, I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. But over time, I say, like in my early 30s, I started thinking, man, my last name, I take a lot of pride in my last name. You know, even if I've done things in the past that may have you know, how can I say this, tarnish my last name a little bit, at least moving forward, I'm going to do better.
So I didn't properly introduce you. I just called you Elias at the beginning of this, but your last name is Fuentes. So according to Google, the surname Fuentes of Spanish origin translates to fountains or springs. It's a topographic name, meaning it originated from a location of a spring or fountain, or a habitational name from a place named with the word Fuentes. So do you think it's kind of funny or ironic that your last name means going towards a specific direction? Essentially, it originated from a location of a spring, so a source that is not necessarily in a specific direction, but is making its direction regardless. And with time can break down the earth just in its constant motion. Do you find that kind of ironic in what you've already said?
You mean like a fountain eroding land, or?
Yes.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. Look, everybody, we're drinking. Maybe I didn't even understand what I just said, but I'm going to repeat that in a little simpler. You going to take that one?
Yeah. Oh, you want it?
No, I want some water.
Want some water?
I don't know where I left my cup. 1 second, folks.
You had a bottle of water somewhere. There you go. Hey, by the way, before we continue, I just want to say something real quick. Shout out to my boy, Fourth Dimension, Milton, Signs, what? My boy made me this hat for Beltway Connections. It came out clean. I love it. And I'm going to take it off now because I don't want to put it right here, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your hair's still clean, bro.
Still clean?
It's still clean, bro.
I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you.
Okay, so what I mean is everything you've kind of said, everything in your life, do you find it funny or ironic that your name literally translates to fountains or springs of water, right? It's a topographic name, meaning it originated from a location of a spring or fountain. Now think about what that actually is, what that motion is. Okay? Like you said, it goes through earth, right? Something that's supposed to be impenetrable. Water is something so soft in nature, so fluid, so easy to break. It's water.
Damn, I wasn't looking at it like that.
So do you find it kind of ironic or funny that everything that you've just discussed, going through these trials and tribulations of the military service and fighting with yourself for purpose, kind of goes hand in hand? Because you've told me before that you're very adamant about being proud of your name, doing things to be proud of your name, and upholding that name. What do you think on that?
Yeah, okay, so there's a lot going on there.
For sure.
So like the whole part of erosion and breaking up dirt, that's not the focus. The focus is the fountain, right? The water, right? It gives water. Okay. So I would imagine like if there's no grass, you put a fountain there, there's gonna be grass now. Right. So like, yeah, I do see it that way. It's not ironic. It's more like, hey man, if that's your calling, that's your calling. You know, like the blacksmiths, right? So what is a blacksmith? You know, back in the day, they mess with swords. They turn metal into swords, into weapons, all kinds of stuff. You know, like that's a blacksmith. Maybe we're all named, or we all pick up our last name from, I don't know, a certain time, a point in time where your last name had something to be related into a trade that your last name was involved in, which is your dad, your dad's dad, your dad's dad's dad. You know, like it just keeps going. So, yeah, is I guess if you're aware of your last name and you know you'd like to put together your purpose in life based off of your last name, and you find pride in that, it's not a bad thing.
Last names or surnames didn't spring up overnight. They evolved over centuries, mainly in Europe, as societies became more complex and population growth made it necessary to identify individuals more precisely. Originally, they were often nicknames or descriptions, not necessarily hereditary, but gradually became fixed and passed down through families. So yeah, 100% you're right. And I mean, even immigrants to this country, the European immigrants to this country, they had to change their names. Like, for example, like one of the most prominent Americans in U.S. history, Donald Trump. His original name was Drumpf. Drumpf with a D.
Drumpf.
Drumpf. Drumpf. And that's German. So I'm not sure how the American identity came about, because there was, I guess the most American name I can think of is John Johnson. When you say John Johnson,
Jack Smith,
Smith, Johnson, whatever, right? So I'm not sure how that identity actually came into play through Ellis Island, where everyone was coming in from German descent, Irish descent, the UK. So I'm not sure why they would have to change it, but that seemed to be what was happening. If you were coming from Czechoslovakia, which no longer exists in current times, but they were Germanic names. Russian names, and you could tell.
So did you ever look up? Because like now I'm interested, like Trump, right? Drumpf. Like, did you look up to see what that stands for? Like what that means? Because like Trump in America, the word
means
Trump,
to overcome.
Exactly. So you trump everything. The king trumps everything, right? Like,
yeah.
That's crazy. Now that's ironic. Like
so Drumpf, Drumpf. Alternatively, Drumpft, also spelled as Trumpf. So Trump. As a German surname that dates back to the 16th century, it's most commonly known as the likely predecessor to the family name of Donald Trump, 45th president and 47th president of the United States. So it's.
But there's no history on the last name.
What do you mean?
The history on the last name.
Like, what does it mean?
Where did it originate from?
Oh, okay. Let me
what does it mean?
The origin of the last name Drumpf and meaning. The surname, it might say the same thing. The surname Drumpf is a German surname that evolved into Trump. The name is of Bavarian origin, and it is believed to have meant drum. So
makes noise.
It makes a lot of noise.
Vibration.
Makes a lot of noise. In Middle High German, the name Drumpf or Trumpf was first recorded in the 16th century. It is believed that the spelling was changed to Trump during the French annexation of the left bank of the Rhine. Around the turn of the 19th century, the name was brought to America in 1733 by a group of Germans from the Palatinate, and in the United States, there was close to 4,800 individuals with the surname on record as of 2016. So it means a drum. It's the sound of a drum.
Sound of a drum.
Yeah.
Trump.
So it could be related
Drums.
to could be related to just music, or it could be related to wartime.
Yeah.
Because what I don't know.
There is bands in wartime.
Now?
Not now.
Right, but
I remember back in the day, like
redcoats coming.
you got them guys, and they're in battle.
Yeah,
they're there.
Essentially, they're doing the same thing that they did with you with, and I'm proud to be an American. They heard that. They heard, you're up there. You got one fucking shot. You got
basic
one.
training for them motherfuckers must have been fucking crazy.
Basic training was eat this piece of bread and put this fucking suit on. Let's go. Bro, they didn't have a choice.
They didn't have a choice.
They
for
said,
real.
come here, brother. We got shit to defend. So they put them up there, and they must have been super small. They weren't well fed. They weren't well equipped. They weren't educated. People weren't educated 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not 50, maybe 80.
Shit. Right now we're not educated.
Exactly. So you could just imagine somewhere in Pennsylvania, some farmer. Hey, John Johnson.
John Johnson.
John Smith. The British are fucking coming. Take this fucking gun. What's a gun? It shoots a little ball into a person and it kills them. Hopefully. How many can it shoot? One. One.
But wait, there's more. In order for you to do that, there's a process to load the weapon.
You put this little black shit and you jack it off. You point it, you shoot. But don't worry.
You need to hurry.
Don't worry. If you hit him, go up to him real quick. There's a sword on the top of it. Stab him quick. So that was the process of that, right? So that's worse. So they're proud to be an American. Was you're a farmer more than likely because you're trying to survive. There's no supermarket. You're making your own shit.
Make your own shit.
You're farming and you're a farmer.
Yeah.
99% we're farmers. Where else are you gonna get your food?
Before anything, you're a farmer. Any family.
Mm-hmm. So that happens. You're scared. You're not calling home. You're not getting any letters. You're out there by yourself. You're probably 18. I mean, just probably like you were around that age, right? You don't know. You're still a child. You're out there. You're about to go kill another human being. And what's going to get you to do it? You probably start to feel a little pride. You got people hanging up the newly founded land of the United States of America. You got 13 colonies. You're about to fuck shit up because your family's here, your friends are here. You have to do something to defend them, and that's where the music comes in. So that just shows how important music is to our culture.
Can we grab like a certain type of group of people and grab their thought process on what the hell they were thinking when they did with everything that they did?
What do you mean?
The Nazis. What the hell were they fighting for? That is crazy to go all in on something like that. Would you say that it was probably influence?
1,000%. 1,000%. 1,000%. And it's funny you mentioned that. I mean, that's when we think of Satan and we think of a human incarnation of the devil, we say Hitler, or at least we used to.
I think South Park did that.
That too. But throughout my education, you say Hitler, it's a damnification of anybody. You're a Hitler.
You're Hitler.
You're Hitler. You're the devil. You're Satan.
Yeah.
Until recent times and what's going on, there seems to be a different perspective on Hitler nowadays.
I think I've heard a couple celebrities come out and say stuff like that.
A lot. Kanye West.
Kanye West was one, yeah.
But Kanye West says a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it seems if you pay attention to your algorithm and just go through the comments, which I wouldn't recommend, but if you happen to be bored or happen to be addicted like everyone else is, go through the comments and you'll see that some. I hope they are bots, but I doubt it. There's a lot of support for Hitler. There's a lot of support saying, quote, he was right. And that's referring obviously to the Jewish people and what's going on now. And that's because of the climate that's going on right now with, in my opinion, currently, there's a genocide in Palestine. So it's easy to say, I hate the Jews. Now don't make that a clip. Nobody make that a clip.
No thumbnails.
Nothing like that. The common conception right now, or at least 50% of the U.S. is, I hate the Jews because of what they're doing to the Palestinian people. But it's not the Jews. It's a small group of Jewish people in positions of power that are doing that. And you cannot generalize everyone. Yeah. Everyone.
You can't say all of Israel thinks the same.
You can't. Obviously, you fucking can't. I mean, the U.S.
Just like any other country, you know, we hope that Russia understands that too. We don't think like Trump does. Hey, North Korea, we don't, like China, we do not think like this motherfucker. Like, please, like.
I would hope that they would understand it, but that circles back to what you just said. Why did the Nazis and why did its people support this movement? And I'm sure it wasn't 100% of them.
Yeah,
obviously they were harboring what they referred to as fugitives. Escaping animals, beasts. They weren't human to them. They were harboring them because that doesn't make any sense. Like people not captivated by this person, Adolf. They went against the grain at a very dangerous point where it was a complete military takeover of Germany. I mean, this is serious. This isn't today's time where you can talk shit about Trump. He doesn't have that type of power. You can say what you want about him because we still have the First Amendment. So this was a completely different time. And those people were actually, when you look up the definition of bravery, they were brave. They were brave. This isn't talking shit about Trump because, you have the First Amendment. This was something else. I'm not sure how we got on this topic and we were going with it, but why were the Nazis doing what they do? It isn't because we're inherently evil. It's because a small group of people or person moves the culture in a specific state of mind. And this very captivating person spoke with such intensity that he managed to...
They felt it. Yeah.
They felt it.
They felt it.
They felt
like,
it.
Yeah, cut his fucking head off. Like that one guy. You can't do it.
Exactly. So he's that. But how does that happen? That doesn't happen from a day to another. It happens gradually.
Well, I mean, with him, I believe that it was what everybody felt. Hate. Why? And it's crazy because Hitler, he was a Jew himself. And
now I've heard that recently. Is that true? Because there's a lot of Let me do a quick search. I'm gonna do two quick searches, guys, because I think you would be interested.
We gotta fact check this.
We gotta fact check because I heard that a week ago, and someone was like, "What?" And now that's me. I'm going ChatGPT free version, so I might be wrong.
Oh man, don't do that. Do Google, dog.
I'm gonna do both. Was Adolf Hitler actually a Jew? Okay, we know he was Austrian. There is no credible historical evidence that Adolf was Jewish. So on and so forth.
God dang.
So it has a bunch of other reasons, but you can look that up yourself.
God damn.
I'm gonna put in the question, not was he, but convince me that he was. Show me the evidence that he was on Google.
That's a good one.
The evidence that shows Hitler was actually Jewish, proven. So generating with Google Gemini. Okay, nothing available here.
Oh man, this is a big lie.
But there is a study from history.com from 2010. Okay, this is where semantics again come into play. Now, was he a practicing Jew?
Oh, okay.
or was he of Jewish descent?
You could be like he was Islam. Yeah, because it's not a race, right? Jew.
Well,
being a Jew. Oh my God.
Well, that's the thing. They do see themselves as a different race, and so did Hitler.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says Adolf may have had Jewish and African ancestors. So, okay, we're going into semantics. Now we can say we're African too, but come on.
I see what you're saying.
It's more of a state of mind.
Okay, let's say this. He grew up around Jews and he developed hate for them because I guess in his life, you know, growing up, his parents or whoever must have not gotten the benefits that everybody else did, or, you know, work. They couldn't find work. They couldn't make money. Who knows? You know, like that. I think that's what from growing up and understanding what Hitler was, that's what I heard. Okay. Now, I never read any books, so that's why it's really good that you did do that, because now I know how to look at things. Because yeah, he could have grew up as a Jew. Yes, he practiced or whatever, but it doesn't mean that he was born a Jew. Like, you know, can you be born a Jew or can you become a Jew?
Well, that's the whole thing with this whole conflict that we're looking at with Israel and Palestine, right? It's two ancient tribes. The whole reason we're recording this in 2025 specifically is because it signifies the death of Christ. Now, these two people are connected directly to that event, right? So both of these tribes are fighting over the land that this very important person in human history lived and died in, and they see this as a holy ground. So both of these people think they have the right to be there. Now, obviously, the conflict is because one thinks one shouldn't be there. Currently, one side is overpowering the other by a long shot. So I forgot where I was going with that.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
You're not gonna help me?
But I think everything still boils down to what humans belief systems. Moving forward, what is the reason why they move forward in the direction that they do? Like, we can say that nobody is correct. We can't say that nobody is correct in what they believe in.
No, I forgot. Sorry, I'm still drinking Claw White again.
White.
Again, sponsors coming soon. But yeah, I mean, it's all about ideologies, right? That's been all of human history. Now that we're talking about wars, all wars are fought over what? Resources, land. It's all a resource, right? So it's your tribe. We haven't changed in thousands of years, you know. But you were saying about race. I'm remembering now. You were saying that they're not a race; it's a religion, but they don't see it that way. The from what I've heard, from what I've seen, from what I've gathered, and if there's any Jewish listeners, let me know. But it seems that it's kind of a birthright kind of a culture. You're either born,
so it's being against a culture then. When
not necessarily.
Okay, what is Zionism?
Let me not fuck this up.
And being an anti-Semitism, like,
so the Semites were as far as I know, the Semites were a particular tribe in that area, right? So anti-Semite, you're anti-Jew, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Zionism is an ethno-cultural nationalist movement that emerged in Europe in the late 19th century that aimed to establish and maintain a national home for the Jewish people, pursued through the colonization of Palestine, a region roughly corresponding to the land of Israel and Judaism, with central importance in Jewish history. Zionists wanted to create a Jewish state in Palestine with as much land, as many Jews, and as few Palestinian Arabs as possible. So Zionism is the opposite of anti-Semite.
So they were doing what?
So it's anti-Palestinian.
Okay, what was Hitler trying to do?
He was
a perfect German.
Oh, you're talking about
right, eugenics.
Blue eyes.
Well, that was his thought, right?
Right.
What were they trying to design? What is being?
It's pro-Jewish, anti everyone else.
So what you just read it now was pushing more Jewish let's not say propaganda, but the
Expansion.
the idea of in Palestine lands.
Right. Contested lands because it wasn't established either.
Yeah, there's a challenge.
Right. This was in the early 19th century. And just to put it in perspective, the 19th century was kind of a free-for-all when it came to land and borders. And it wasn't as established as it is now. If we heard of another, and we've seen it already, if we've heard of another country taking over another country and becoming part of that country, we've seen it within the past 10 years.
Russia has been doing that.
That's
for
what
a
I'm
very
saying.
Long time, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But back in the 19th century, it was commonplace. Africa was a free for all for a lot of the European countries. A lot of it was controlled by Belgium, by France, by Germany, by the UK, and that's why a lot of African people now speak a lot of those languages.
Yeah.
So to put it in that context of they're taking Palestinian land. Not necessarily. It was contested. It was kind of a fight, a bigger fight than it is now. Because now there's world governments that have established and recognized these states, these borders. So they have kind of a backing that isn't just go in there and forcefully take the land, which is kind of happening now, and it's happened over the past 50 years. You know,
I mean, some of United States land was Mexico.
Yeah,
and at one point, all of this land was the Native Americans.
Yeah. Well. Was it theirs or were they just a part of the land?
Oh, they were just living here, but
they were just living in it.
They didn't.
They didn't claim it. Well, there were territories. There were territories,
but they didn't turn them into cities and
right
development.
Yeah, they did have their epicenters for each of their tribes. You know, the Shawnee, the Cherokee, they all had their territories, but there was no maps. There was no maps. There was no borders. There was no walls.
There was no communication within tribes in different areas.
It was understood that you stay on your side, we stay on ours. That's it. If we happen to cross paths, things might get ugly, but we'll be as respectful as possible. But this knowledge that we have now of, you know, when we enter a different even city here, cities feel different here. We go from Houston to Dallas. Oh, we know we're in Dallas now. You know, but What were we saying? Moving people up?
No, it's just crazy because when we start talking about all this, you know, you had people that lived here and they learned how to live here and they were stripped from their credit because they showed these other people that came from somewhere else how to live here.
You're talking about like the
Native
common
Americans.
Pilgrim
Native Americans
Thanksgiving thing
and the conquistadors that came over here, right?
I got you.
You know, they learned how it is to live here. Oh, okay, there's no need for you anymore. Let's get rid of you guys. We learn how to live here. But it's crazy because that's what history, that's what it's always been about. Let's go even before that. Genghis Khan, we were talking about this the other night. You know, like that motherfucker just went to conquer everything. You know, like he killed anybody. Like it was nothing to him. You know, like him and his people. It's just like Hitler. You know, they're just conquering territory, trying to say, okay, right here, my people that we're all like this, we're going to take over and this is going to be ours. Israel, same thing. My people, we're all think like this. We're all going to take over. This right here is ours, and we're going to push it as much as we can.
Just because I know we have listeners, you may, in case you may not know, you've probably heard of this guy. The correct current pronunciation is Genghis Khan.
Oh, is Genghis Khan?
Genghis instead of Genghis. I said it before that.
Oh,
so it's Genghis Khan. So this was a conqueror from the Mongolian Empire, and that is north of China and south of Russia. It's sandwiched right in between. And in his time, he actually conquered much of Russia and much of China. I mean, they were spreading like wildfire. They were just these brutal savages. They would use bodies as essentially ammo. They would put them on fire, or they would engulf them in flames and launch them with these essentially what, you know, ancient rocket launchers. I'm not sure what they're called. Catapults. So they would catapult bodies onto. I mean, that's just an example on the savagery that happened there, and you can look into that. But I just wanted to say that just in case people don't know who that is and the importance of what we're talking about here. But if you happen to remember what you're talking about, please continue.
No, I mean, I think we should just take it back to the beginning, man, because we're talking about something. You know, like the whole thing about moving forward, being negative. I think we started off as an emotional topic that we're discussing. To end that, right, that topic, it's like in my experience, of course I'm still alive. I'm still gonna continue going, right? Figuring out things, doing more things, getting into things, whatever it is. What we were talking about was that fear you feel when you're gonna step out of your comfort zone and get into something that you don't know, you have no idea about. And we're talking about the whole thing about moving in a direction, even though you don't know, you're gonna move in that direction. So we were discussing everything to do with the military, right? How I got to this point, right? After the military was another challenge. After the military, I went back to what I knew before the military, which was labor work. I worked for National Oil Varco for about 1.5 years. I became a quality tubing inspector. And there was all kinds of people working there. There was like felons, like people that have done some shit, and they were my friends. They were good people. And you had a lot of, how can I say this? People that didn't have ITIN numbers that worked there. And, this one guy, man, he told me one day, man, I remember this like yesterday because I thought I had done what was I supposed to do, what I was supposed to do in my life. I was married at the time, and I was like, man, I'm gonna look out for myself, for my wife. I'm gonna get into the oil rigs. I'm gonna make all this money, and that was my thought in that moment. And this guy, he came up and he fucking threw a rock at my window and just messed everything up. He came up to me. He's been working there for 20 years, and he of course, he's undocumented, right? He tells me, he's like, why are you working here? And I looked at him, I was like, motherfucker, like, you don't get your bitch ass, like, I'm about to slap you. Like, no, really. Like, you know English, you went to school here, you were in the military, why are you working here? And I was like, bro, if you don't get the hell away from me, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. Get the fuck away from me, dude. And then after he said that, he walked off laughing and all that. And I was just like, man, shut up. But I started thinking about it. I was like, damn, bro, what the fuck is wrong? Like, am I wrong, with what I'm doing right now? Like, of course, life went south. Not in that moment, but it was already going in that direction. I just didn't see it yet. And I was like, man, what the hell do I do now? Right? Went through a divorce, thought I had it all figured out and I didn't. I was back at square one, nothing to stand on. I'm like, golly, what do I do? So the only thing that I could do was go back to my family, look for refuge. What else, right? I get back to my family, I'm just like, damn, man, I'm the oldest brother and I left everybody here and I didn't realize how difficult it was for them when I knew how difficult it was when I was with them, before I joined the Army and all that. And I was, golly, man, I got to start from the bottom. I didn't have nothing figured out yet. And I was like, damn, okay, what's the first thing I can do? I'm talking about I'm sitting in the couch, bro, for 2 weeks, feeling like a damn loser. I have no job. I have no ambition. I don't know what the hell am I going to do with myself. I'm a freaking veteran. I don't even know how to use this shit. Like nobody wanted to give me work now because I'm over here looking for the wrong jobs with the wrong experience. And everybody's just like, man, you're just a liability, bro. You're just something waiting to happen. We can't allow that, So I'm like, all right, I got to change things up. I started working with my little brother, man. He was actually, when I started working at this place, it was a place where they manufactured or they made the back of receipts for all kinds of places like McDonald's, Fiesta, all kinds of casinos and all kinds of stuff. And I was my little brother's helper. And I remember, I had to go to work. Shit, fuck it. This is my job. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it as best as I can. And then I got a job with my mom too. My mom was working at a hospital. I had 2 jobs at that time. And I was just like, man, I'm going to make this shit work. I'm going to figure it out, bro. I'm still alive. I'm not just going to let myself just throw myself away. I got to figure this shit out. I go, where I was working with my mom in the hospital, what I was doing was gathering up all the trash, not just any trash. There was like biohazardous materials,
Needles and blood.
and all kinds. Yeah, blood, and I had to be careful. I had to learn how to, put this all together, get rid of it. So I would do. I had those 2 jobs, right? I started off with my brother. I would go into work at 7 p.m. and I'll get no. We go into work at 11 p.m. and we get off at 7 a.m. And then from 8 a.m. till 12 p.m. I'm at the hospital with my mom working. Bro, that shit sucked. I had to swallow all kinds of pride. I had to bro, I was not good. I was in a bad spot. And I'm like, bro, I cannot continue to fuck myself up. So I started working out. Bro. I started running. I fucking got into CrossFit. I was, going to work every day, like with my brother and my mom. And finally, it's just like something hit me, man. I'm like, bro, fuck this. I told my brother, I was like, hey, dog, fuck this job. And he's like, man, you know what? He's been there for 4 years now at that point. Like, straight out of high school, that's his first job, right? He's like, you could become he was cold at his profession. He was doing really good. He was making good money, for his age and all that good stuff. And he felt it too. He was kind of like, man, yeah, fuck this shit, man. Let's get the fuck out of here. And we left, and the first thing I did, bro, was like, all right, what makes sense? Get a job where you don't have to drive far. Get a job that's close to where you live. And that's exactly what I did. I got a job close to where I lived. And then I started working that, and I started thinking about, man, I need to go to school. I need to invest in myself. I need to learn something, bro, that you can fucking get to the next level and get paid a little bit more. And I became an electrician, bro. I started going to school for electrical and working on the same street where I lived, on a bike all day, every day, bro. Back and forth, going to school, going to work, going home, going to school. That was my thing every day. My brother followed me. He ended up getting into HVAC. And we both started working at the same job where I was at. He was in a different department. We both worked at Restaurant Depot. My little brother, Eric, he worked in the produce department. I worked in the receiving and shipping department in the back. But I didn't work for Restaurant Depot. I worked for a third-party company that unloaded trucks for them. So, I got all my boys in there. We made a big old thing, like there's a group of us now. And this is how we're making our money. This is how we're making our living. So it's like, I got close to all my people, and it's like, I feel like because I got close to all my people again, the skills and, my life experience, everything that I went through, it helped me. It helped me get to the next level. I finished school. I became an electrician. I was doing low voltage electrical work, installing fire alarm systems for schools and hospitals. And then I became a fucking recruiter. I became a recruiter for the same company. And then that was it, bro. After that, all of my jobs after that were office. There were no longer blue collar, is what everybody likes to say. When you're actually doing work, like, I was no longer a blue collar anymore. And I felt good because I'm like, man, I remember I was on a ladder, bro. The last time I thought about this, I was like, I was on a ladder. There was wind, and I'm over here like, this is the last time I get a job where I'm in this fucking situation right here. And I got out that ladder, bro, and that was it, bro. Like, I never looked back. And I fucking, boom, bro. I got into recruiting. And then I started working for a veteran organization that hired veterans for skilled trades and construction, like high jobs, like companies like Bechtel. They did like pipe fitting and all kinds of crazy shit. So like telecommunication, tower technicians, pipe fitters, welders, all kinds of stuff. Right there, I learned more stuff. I became a mentor just because my boss left and now I'm the only one. I got to keep this shit going. I got to keep hiring people. Whatever he taught me how to do, I did that. Kept hiring people. I ended up hiring a whole team that take care of the recruiting side. And now I'm doing other things now. Now I'm in charge of when somebody gets hired, all right, you put together a group of these people and I go take them to go do some hard shit because we're about to send them over to our clients. And if they're over there fucking off and they're over here on some bullshit, we're going to see this right now before you even get to our clients. So I took them through something called a cohort of training, which is I found you remember American Ninja Warrior? Mm-hmm. So I found a gym that's what they did. And because iron workers was one of the jobs that we had to fill, people had to get, high off the ground and do work. So I went to go buy a whole bunch of weighted vests, and everybody that went through our program, I take them there. One day, I bring everybody there. I put them through this whole course where I'm yelling at them, I'm talking shit. I'm getting in their ass, bro. Just trying to see, let's see how pissed off you get. Because if you can handle me here, that means you can go handle them out there. And I don't have to we don't have to worry about you. You get out there, you do your shit, you become who you're gonna be, and fuck yeah, that shit worked. Right? So that was a pretty badass job that I had. Then I was like, bro, I need to make more money. Fuck all this shit. So I need to make more money. So I started working in mortgage servicing. Now I'm the guy that's on the phone talking to people, homeowners, that they'll call and they'll be like, yes, sir, I just received a letter. I'm not sure why my mortgage got switched over to you guys. Did I do something wrong? Oh, my name is Elias Fuentes on a recorded line. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with? I have to do all this shit, bro, where I have to verify people's information, figure out, okay, your escrow analysis, I'll read it for you. I'll let you know, boom, this is why you're paying more on your mortgage this month. This is going to continue on for another 12 months, just so you know. And it's like, bro, I didn't know any of this stuff. I was scared to figure it out. I was like, man, you know what? This is hard, bro. I don't want to do it. But because I want to go do the suck, all the hard shit, I figured it out, bro. And I was like, oh, it wasn't so bad after all. So to your question, when you were asking me in the beginning about what did you do, it was exactly that, bro. What I thought was difficult, what I was scared of, I just went on and fucking did it, bro. I faced it. And it fucking punched me in the mouth and all that shit, bro. I'll be like, oh, okay, you didn't hit that hard, bitch. I fucking just kept doing it, bro. Then I started working for a commercial real estate firm. Started buying apartment complexes. Started learning how it is that they buy apartment complexes. Started fucking building shit. And then I became a digital marketing specialist.
So take me to current day after going through all of those challenges. What is your state of mind now?
My state of mind now is try to stay as calm as possible. Try not to talk too much and listen more. It's always going to be like that. We're never done learning. So the more you stay quiet, the more you learn. And the better you can utilize what you've learned. Stay quiet. Once you're in the suck, bro, once you're trying to figure it out, the next thing is now put it into work. Put it into place. Hey, what do I want? If it's $500,000 a year, then fucking do that. Say that exactly. I want $500,000 a year. What does it take to get to that? That's the journey. That's where you're going to, man, I'm scared to do this. But if you do it, motherfucker, you're probably going to get to $500,000 a year. So now is my mentality is, okay, do what you're scared to do or what you don't want to do. Just fucking do it. And once you get there, stay quiet and fucking learn.
My brother. I think we can end it on that.
I love it.
I'm really happy we finally got to it. It was a long road to get here. It took a couple years, couple days here on my visit, and I think it went exactly the way it was supposed to. So, if you have anything to shout out, any work related things, any personal things, now's your time to do it.
I appreciate you for that, man. First of all, I just want to thank you very much for coming over here and taking your time to do this. After 2 years of trying to plan this, I appreciate the hell out of you. I have a lot of love for you, man. And everybody's out there listening, man. This guy right here, yeah, you need to be around people like this. Life ain't easy, but if you're around the right people, the correct people around you, yes, you can make it. You can do things that you didn't think you could fucking do. I love everybody. Love you, dog.
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second. Last thing. Sorry, everybody. We were at we're an hour 21.
Damn.
Just the two of us. We can make we tried to
Thank you for sticking around. You made it to the end credits of the Fourth Dimension podcast with guest number 8, Elias H-Town Fuentes.
H-Town Eli, you know what I'm talking about?
We look for love, no time for tears. Wasted water's all that is, and it don't make no flowers grow.